Good morning, everybody. Dave here. I'm going to be talking about I'm going to go this is Project Soulcatcher read through part 15. Um and Before I start, well, the first thing we're going to talk about in this Project Soulcatcher read through is thought and mind interface. They call it TAMI, T-A-M-I. But first I'm going to read a devotion. It's from Tina Plankinger's Treading on Serpents. They think they're pushing us down, but really they're pushing us up. Their primary weapon is through deceptive mind games, waking up in the morning to find all the dishes removed from the cabinets, placed on the counters beyond upsetting. This kind of foolishness is a form of their arrogance. It seeps through the cracks of their existence. It's easy to spot when you know what to look for. These ridiculous mind games give the target a mindset of powerlessness. It is so far-fetched that we're afraid to tell anyone about it, so we hang on to the secret and allow it to fester. Really, we're more inconvenienced than anything because now we must put all the dishes back in the cupboards. A chemical or poison might have been sprayed on them all, so they all need to be washed first. Oh well, the cabinets needed some wiping down anyway. What we really want to do is change the locks, install chains, put bars in the windows, but we take care of ourselves the best we can. We take care of our pets. We continue to keep our focus on God and try to stay grateful and joyful. Sounds crazy. It's the opposite of how our enemy wants us to be. It's the only solution that works for us. I do not fret or have anxiety about anything because God helps me deal wisely in all the affairs of my life. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the share the screen to Project Soulcatcher Part 15, and we'll stop. I don't know when we'll stop. I've been getting attacked pretty bad lately with severe nausea this morning. Matter of fact, I was just talking to a friend on WhatsApp, and right after I got off the phone with her, boom, nausea heated up. I have vertigo, just same old symptoms and V2K. Um, this stuff never ends. Um, I'm trying to think of what to say. I choose not to discuss what's going on with me that much as far as targeting, but I think I'm going to start more. I had not been talking about it because I feel like, well, if the perps are watching this, they're probably getting off, giving high fives to each other and all that. Because what I've heard, they have us on live stream. You can bet. They have like there's live streams of our lives and stuff, and then you got open season for certain targets. Some of it's closed. People can pay to watch. Um, and Matter of fact, if you get the code name Pretty Eyes by Pamela Ann Austin, she has a screenshot that I don't know how she got it, but screenshot of the how they're bidding and stuff on it. It actually shows let me see what it says here. I'm gonna show you see what the picture says. Unfortunately, it came out in black and white, so it's hard to say. Um, it's hard to see, but you can definitely tell it's a pool of targets. And it says they have tabs on the sites for streams, DVDs, active pools, underwear, face cash, trophies, request, vintage. Under each target's picture, it shows the current pool amount for that target. So, and she shows a picture on the internet. Like I wish I could show y'all, but it's in black and white and hard to see, but it's seeable enough to see, hey, it really is going on. Okay, thought and memory interface. My bad, I said thought and mind interface. I think Robert Duncan does call it thought and mind interface in The Matrix Deciphered, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, all the subsystems mentioned in this chapter work together. There are most definitely many more, but this is all that our independent investigators have been able to obtain through roughly 650 interviews, extensive DARPA research, ex-CIA agents turned good, and accidental leaks from the Direct Energy Directorate and Joint Forces Command and Control personnel. TAMI stands for Thought and Memory Interface. Since the military culture is chauvinistic, they gave this chatty BabbleBot program a female acronym. It has many purposes, such as making the target talk about subjects of knowledge, a type of automated mind interrogation program. Tammy is jokingly referred to as the female Borg commanders from the TV series called Star Trek, since this piece of software has lots of intelligence and links to the mind of the drone humans. Others in the psychic warfare program refer to her as Mother. The diagram below illustrates the architecture of the components in the systems. And that was in the teacher's edition only. I'm sorry. My resources are limited as far as money. I don't really have income at all, basically. So I can't even find the teacher's edition first off, but I don't have the teacher's edition. I got this for free as a download. All right, Jubilum, Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum. And it says 41, so we're going to go down here. In 41, it says, according to the legends, these were the three men who were murdered the Grand Master Freemason, builder of Solomon's Temple. The names derived from Jewis, and I would assume that's King Hiram. Okay, during the interrogation of individual psychology, fill in the blank and rhyming games are often employed. It's a special, unique, intrusive kind of mind probing that relies on forced speech generated by thought and mind interface or thought and memory interface or a live cloner and evoke potentials of brain spikes of recognition of meaning, words, events, and people. Human routines, inference software technology, or CHRIST. They use acronyms. Common, human, routine, inference, software, technology. Conform or be destroyed. You are with us or against us. Subtext of those who are not independent thinkers. This acronym stands for Behavior Pattern Prediction and Classification Software in a coveted database whose initial control was by the CINSA located in Colorado, according to Dr. B. F. Skinner at Harvard. It started off as a profiling tool, but expanded into a total information awareness and a way to data mine for various groups, behavior patterns, spies, and possible dissidents. And down here, 42, it says this is primary resource referenced by one of the authors of this book. Okay. They're just talking about DBF Skinner. Okay, CHRIST, Common Human Routine Inference Software Technology, is a personally segmentation program which uses many factors, but in recent decades it's become feasible to add credit card purchases, other shopping patterns, interest groups, travel, lifestyle, web browsing patterns, phone, email, speech prints, TV watching patterns, books, movies, etc. This develops a full picture of the individual and human networks. Newer technology allows GPS tracking of individuals, their route patterns, speaking patterns, and word choice. This is total information awareness of victims. With remote mind monitoring, even sleeping patterns can be tracked. And here we go to S.A.T.A.N, silent assassination through adapting networks, or S.A.T.A.N. So you got CHRIST, which is common human routines, inference software technology. Now we're up on S.A.T.A.N, silent assassination through adapting networks. Now S.A.T.A.N is more popularly used on people, in my opinion, from talking to other TIs and all that. It says, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you mad." Aldous Huxley. It's a couple quotes here. "We have been trying to concentrate evil as humans, understand it to create weaponry that attacks the information systems of the brain and body. I didn't know what we were fully doing at this time I served. I regret what I did." And V2K just said, "If you only had a brain, David." They do this stuff. I'm telling you. The basic concept behind the best silent assassination is not to stage a suicide, but cause one. These agents call themselves self-manipulated murder / suicide. This is just one objective of a weapon system with acronym S.A.T.A.N. This is the equivalent in physical renditions of torture of a subject every day while leaving a gun by his side in a contained room, then the torturer claiming, "I'm not responsible for their death. They killed themselves." It's equivalent to putting a knife in someone's hand, grabbing their hand, and then forcing them to stab themselves. I know a TI, I'm not going to mention their name, had a wreck, ended up going to a motel after a wreck because they totaled their car. They got a ride to a motel. This dude knocked on the door, invited himself in, and of course, this target was scared. I forgot how he got in or whatever. Anyway, he did some kind of spill and was comforting this target and whatever. And then there was helicopter noise outside. This is a true account that's been told to me by somebody I know 100% the target. All right, so helicopters outside, all this, and this dude tells this target, well, ain't nothing but agents outside, and there's the helicopters, and hands this target a gun. Now, I'm not clear on the story. They just wiped it out of my mind, but they handed the target the gun. They didn't directly say, "Hey, uh, shoot yourself." None of that. It just they handed the gun and sat there for a while. The target ended up handing the gun back and telling the man to get out of the room. Um, so anyway, the basic concept behind the ban. All right, I've done said that. One must understand their enemy in order to defend against and defeat them. The system's very aptly named Satan. Only through severe leaks in the intelligence community was the precise and accurate acronym for the system and techniques uncovered. It is strange how biblical prophecy, science, military technology, and sociology seem to converge on this point in time of our specific species development. Torture is a strange topic to understand. Trauma-based conditioning can break down the will of any human, like breaking a horse. Psychologists have stated every traumatic event weakens the individual for similar future stress. Go see my short video about 3 or 4 days ago of the fleas. They put fleas in a jar for 2 days straight. And when they opened the jar, the fleas would not jump higher than the lid. So they were so traumatized about being locked in a jar where they couldn't move because fleas jump everywhere. That they stayed in the jar, and their babies stayed in the jar, and the next generation stayed in the jar. So that's how effective trauma is. Torture is a strange topic to understand. Trauma-based conditioning can break down the will of any human, like breaking a horse. Psychologists stated every traumatic event weakens the individual for similar future stress. That is not always the case. The military has a program called SCRE, which gives operatives some experience of what torture might be. It's supposed to harden them against torture methods. Stress conditioning techniques can both sensitize or desensitize the subject to stressful events such as lying or fight or flight biological responses so that they can be more logical and effective to be forced to tell the truth and give up their will to avoid more stress. War is hell. The mind cloning army, satanic cult truly has done a deal with the devil. I remember one time I had got pulled over by the police and uh, anyway, they took me in for questioning or something about something, and I was really going through it then. I didn't know what gang stalking was, and so anyway, I kind of resisted. I got beat up. Making a long story short, I ended up staying there for quite a bit of time before I had a court date. They had me for simple assault of officer because I was freaking out. I'm not a violent person at all, but I was freaking out then because I didn't know what I'd been gang stalked, tortured. I didn't know what was going on. So in my mind, they were taking me to some building to torture me to death, and so I resisted. So what they did was, this is no joke. I'm not exaggerating here. This happened in Alabama. They put me in a cell 30 days naked, no mats, nothing but steel, concrete, no shower. They fed me bread and water 3 times a day for 30 days. When I came out of there, I'm telling you, I was just so messed up in the head, but in the end, it made me stronger mentally, physically, and emotionally. There's a lot more to that story after what happened after that. Uh, let's just say, let's just say God is real. Torture is a strange topic to understand. Trauma-based condition. Oh, war is hell. The mind-cloning army truly has done a deal with the devil. The religious metaphor is exceptionally appropriate with this weapon system. The psychic warrior gives up their soul while heterodyning with a host mind as well as a typically unwilling host. This was the inspiration for the title of the book, Project Soulcatcher. Their information patterns that make them up are significantly altered with the combined collective hive mind configuration. With one mind trying to overpower the will of the other, one must truly hate what they are to agree to alter their soul so significantly. Satan made me do it has become popular folklore as an excuse for many horrific crimes. In many mind hacking cases, the word could not be truer than the acronym of the weapon system controlling their thought processes during the crime spree. Review the section on the new kinds of crimes that the justice systems around the world do not yet recognize that respond from the abuse of this technology. It says review the section on the new kinds of crimes. Okay, so I do not know where that's at, so I don't want to waste y'all's time, but we will get to it. Death doctors, angels of death, and psychic assassins. I have walked through the valley of the shadow of death. That was David from Psalm 23. David went through 4 chapters of Chronicles, or no, 1 Samuel, or Second Samuel, one of them, 4 chapters in a row. He was stalked by Saul, the king. Everybody hated him. They were looking for him. Um, and he wrote a lot of them Psalms during that time. The purpose of S.A.T.A.N, or silent assassination through adaptive networks, is behavior modification to death, useful in silent, plausible denial, mass murders, and eugenics. Training the targets for ever known detrimental behavior to shorten life is a diabolical method it uses for silent kills and large scale eugenic social engineering. Even all survival instincts can be erased. The field of study of death is called thantology. Thantologists examine all aspects of death, including biological, the cessation of physiological processes, psychological, cognitive, emotional, and behavioral responses, and social, historical, culture, and legal issues. In order to avoid a lawsuit, we won't name several officials and CIA scientists that are Thantologists, with the exception of a colonel that started a division of a satanic cult called the Church of Satan, whose leader was Aquino and worked for the NSA. He's retired now. This was an experiment to create torturers and assassins with sociopathic behaviors. Death merchants and soldiers of fortune is not a new concept in warfare. And Yale professor Dr. Milgram conducted experiments on how normal morality of people can be subverted when authority figures command them to do the unthinkable. One can see in this operation by the common justification, I was just doing my job. Accompanying this technology comes from many layers of indirection. The jargon and language used in these satanic cults, both military based and mythological black magic based, are coincidence by design to mimic the occult by substitution of language of mythology for those who perpetuate and those that develop the technology and scripts. Satanic cults as a mean to indoctrinate and manipulate pride and evil deeds for rejectors was created by Aquino. Here's a brief list and explanation for some of the verbiage used in satanic cults and the intelligence agency's equivalent. Cast a spell or a hex. This means run the Satan program on them, like dark cloud tactics of perceived bad luck and correlation matrix of detrimental behavior modifications for human survival. We all targets have had that happen. You seem like everything you do is bad luck, nothing goes right. Well, they're behind the scenes doing this, and they call it casting a spell or hex. That means run the silent assassination through adaptive networks program on them, like dark cloud tactics of perceived bad luck, and correlation matrix of detrimental behavior modification. Possessed with a demon. Alice, artificial linguistics intelligence. Man, I forgot what Alice means. And Tammy, chatterboxes. They're both chatterbox programs with negative vocabulary, or real-time psychic warriors, as they're called, can do the trick. Demons that distract and destroy. If you're not used to your V2K, you may think demons are talking to you. Oh man, let's see. 43. Let's see. 43 was Quino, who later worked for NSA. It says Monarch, the new Phoenix program. And Dr. Milgram's book was called Obedience to Authority, Milgram's Experiments. All right, Medusa. That's mob-induced deterrent something. Medusa turned people to stone. Hypnosis and the army zombie projects are the equivalent, keeping their victims in eternal mental turmoil so that they cannot do or think anything for themselves. This is a subjectively perceived mental war that can never be won, or extreme debilitating fear. See Medusa crowd control device and the voice of God weapons. Sirens lure listeners to their death. They need to know the truth is to lure. Trickery scripts like just take your medicine. We're here to help you. Play a similar role by scripts. I don't know if you remember Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, where them three women show up and disappear. Well, they're considered sirens. And if you do your mythology report, sirens were these little fairy-like things that look just like women that lured men in. There's more to it. I can't think of it right off my head, but I've studied that stuff intensively, like Greek mythology and Norse mythology and all that. 5. Psychological vampires suck the life force out of a person. This is done by inducing long-term dread, loss of hope, and breakdown of the human spirit. It's the ultimate purpose of all brainwashing, enhanced interrogation techniques. And of course, a lot of us TIs, I know I can relate, run around with dread, has had bouts of running around with dread weeks at a time, fight or flight weeks at a time, which affects the vagus nerve and burns out your adrenaline glands eventually. Well, it don't burn them out, but it really affects them. Obviously, the full list of superstitious metaphor, which is commonly used, is more extensive, but the reader can get the gist of how the head games are played at several levels. Side note, interview with a current CIA operative in China. Interviewer, I'm surprised you being part of the company have never heard of MK Ultra. Interviewee, I didn't know we had this technology. It makes sense to me now how we have acquired sensitive intelligence. I only try to recruit human intelligence, but I know you must write your book as fiction or it will be censored. I am your good friend, but this scares me. I would hate to have you as my enemy. They will use you for any purpose they want. Interviewer, don't you think that perhaps they have overturned every American value and disgraced our country by what they're doing? Interviewee, this conversation's over. Interviewer, slightly irritated. I suppose real virtue and courage are rare in this country these days. I pray for your soul. A country that continues without its values and characters, nothing of value. And remember that all tyranny needs to get a foothold is for people of good conscience to do nothing. The interviewer is part of the mind hacking strategy group. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. Am I against the U.S. military? No. Am I against people in the military that know about mind control and carried out experiments on people? Yes. Am I uh am I against the police? No. There's plenty of good cops. Um am I against judges and all that? I'm convinced there's good judges. Um but what I'm saying is just because I just because we may say military and all, it's not when we're talking about it. We're talking about the ones who know about this being carried out. People that go sign up today to fight for this country. I'm convinced. This is my opinion. You're entitled to yours, or cops, or detectives. A lot of them don't know about this. A lot of psychologists don't know about this, but some do. And so that's the ones we're talking about here. So don't get it twisted. I love my country. Matter of fact, uh, if you look at third world countries and other countries, we've really got it good here, even though it seems like this country is going to hell in a handbasket. But I still love my country. And, I have, you know, due to false promises by politicians all my life, you know, uh, this Trump stuff seems too good to be true. Now, he may surprise me. And am I saying Trump's not going to do what he says? No, I don't know what he's going to do. I cannot predict that. I'm not going to slander nobody. I personally think that he has to do what he's going to do what he promised for the people, and at the same time, he has to do what the people who backed his political campaign with the money. He has to do what they want to do too, and stuff they want to do. Now, is he busting stuff wide open right now? It appears to be. But you got to remember, it could all be a show or an illusion. But who knows? Am I saying that for a fact? No, because I don't know. And I'm not going to say nothing I don't know. Um, but my opinion is everybody's got roles to play. And that's just how it goes. So I hope and pray this program stops, people get justice. I have heard that it's only going to be the terrorist watch list that gets done away with. Now, what problem that leaves us with is if you're not on the terrorist watch list and you're target, because Sabrina Wallace says there's many different lists, and I'm convinced that this technology is going to be rolled out in the whole world one day. So if you're not on the terrorist, so if they end the terrorist watch list, so the people on the terrorist watch list, um, their targeting ends. So then people's targeting people that are not on the list, their targeting continues. So then they start talking about their targeting they're still targeted. And then the ones who got off the list and they're not targeted no more say, no, that's impossible. All these people's targeting. So then they get gaslit again. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to stop rambling. Okay, voodoo doll. No touch torture sub programs. And if you do your study, the voodoo doll, and I don't want to get into it, but anyway, the voodoo doll was essentially made for if I had a brain tumor in my head, I would make a voodoo doll. I would pray to a certain saints or not saints, Catholicism or I can't Santa Maria and all that. They got saints, but what I'm saying is I think it is saints, but I'm not sure. They got certain people they pray to while they're stabbing the voodoo doll in the head and they ask for healing. Now, anything positive can be turned negative, and I'm not saying voodoo is positive at all. I'm just trying to tell you the real gist of voodoo. Hollywood, now anything can be perverted, but a lot of people don't know that about voodoo. That's why I'm sharing it. The voodoo doll was originally made before it got perverted. Was made to, like, if I had problems with my side, my feet, whatever, then I would call out to a certain. I don't want to say what they call out to because I've done forgot it, but and I would stab that thing while I'm calling out to it to the area I want healed. Okay. The Phoenix is rising from the ashes of this empire to construct a more permanent and powerful control system of aristocracy. A friend and madman from Yale reintroduced the Skull and Bones Club during a Harvard-Yale football game, speaking of the downfall of the U.S. and new unobserved country borders. The CIA recruits heavily from secret societies, final clubs, eating clubs, fraternities, because these kinds of psychologies are easily influenced by false pride and importance, making them controllable by their handlers. Dawn of the Damned. Not even your God can save you. CIA interrogator and rough boy before he desecrated the Bible as a breakdown tactic of the subject. 1984. George Orwell, the scene where he tortures his friend Winston. The objection of persecution is persecution. The object of persecution is persecution. And we're almost done here. The object of torture is torture. The object of power is power. We are not content with negative obedience, nor even with the most abject submission. When finally you surrender it to us, it must be of your own free will. We do not destroy the heretic because he resists us. So long as he resists us, we never destroy him. We convert him. We capture his inner mind. We reshape him. We burn all evil and illusion out of him. We bring him over to our side, not in appearance, but genuinely heart and soul. We make him one of ourselves before we kill him. Even in the instance of death, we cannot permit any deviation. We make the brain perfect before we blow it out. We shall abolish the orgasm. Our neurologists are at work upon it now. There will be no loyalty except loyalty towards the party. There will be no love except the love of Big Brother. There will be no laughter except the laugh of triumph over a defeated enemy. There will be no art, no literature, no science. When we are omnipotent, there will be no need of science. There will be no distinction between beauty and ugliness. There will be no curiosity, no enjoyment of the process of life. All competing pleasures will be destroyed. But always, slash, do not forget this, Winston, always there will be the intoxication of power, constantly increasing and constantly growing subtler. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who's helpless. If you want to picture the future, imagine a boot stomping on a human face forever. Never again will you be able to capable of ordinary human feeling. Everything you will be dead inside you. Never again will you be capable of love or friendship, a joy of living, and laughter. We shall squeeze you empty, and then we shall fill you with ourselves. And that is from 1984. George Orwell definitely knew something. Torture is a strange topic to understand. Trauma-based conditioning can break down the will of any human. Psychologists have stated every traumatic event weakens the individual for similar future stress. However, that's not the case. The military has a program called SEER, which gives operatives some experience of what torture might be like. It's supposed to harden them against torture methods. Stress conditioning techniques can both sensitize or desensitize the subject to stressful events, such as lying or fight or flight biological responses, so that they can be more logical and effective or be forced to tell the truth and give up their will to avoid more stress. The integrated system of hardware, software, and techniques is complex. One program, called Voodoo Doll, of the communication weapon system can be classified as worse than lethal because it is a maximum pain psychological torture weapon which can keep the body it is torturing alive longer than traditional torture methods. The United States and United Kingdom have been working on perfecting maximum pain weapon for decades. And here's the cybernetic hive mind with firewall. All right, so look, the remote control soldier, Manchurian candidate, interrogation targets right here. The firewalls right here. Group handlers are right here. They're right here infecting the S.A.T.A.N system. Includes interfaces to mind viruses, torture programs, and other mind hacking tools. The most unique part of the software system is a program called Voodoo Doll. It allows the user to select burn, prick, poke, and other sensations to be precise. And I will. And as far as I know, there's not no firewall, so I guess we're going to get to it the point right there. The Satan's okay. Other countries may also be developing maximum pain weapons, but authors of this book have expertise to U.S. and United Kingdom secret programs. Okay. Others, it allows the user to select, burn, prick, poke, other sensation to be precisely played into the cortexes. Okay. On the cortexes of the target, which will be perceived at a specific spot on her body. Army released documents showing how they mapped out all sensory pathways for development of these kinds of torture program. The user interface for S.A.T.A.N is rarely seen in the commercial world. It's eye gaze tracker plus voice recognition interface. It requires no keyboard typing, mouse movement, nor touching the screen. Some voice commands are used too, but the voice recognition is not traditional either. The computer interfacing code listens to the audio cortex inner voice commands using technology similar to that developed by Stanford Research Institute back in the 70s, and NASA research of prevocal motor pathways in the throat, then classifies those precognitive vocal intentions into phonemes, words, and sentences. The cleverisms of these weapons systems are pervasive. The black sciences are so named because they are both considered by general populations to produce evil outcomes, and it's a double entendre for keeping them at top secret classification. Black ops are kept off the financial books of government and away from public scrutiny on the most part. The shadow government's a term used to refer to Department of Defense and security agencies that utilize the dark technologies in their clandestine domestic operations, as well as replacement government if Washington, D.C. gets nuked. Most of the communication infrastructures with 10 acres of computer are housed in semi-secret underground bases in the U.S. and allied territories, but the antenna fields are difficult to hide since they are mostly above ground and occupy many miles for the distributed phased arrays used in large baseline interferometry. And while we're on phased arrays, I'm fixing to read you what phased arrays do. As Anthony Medina, thank you, a viewer and supporter of mine, pointed out yesterday. I think it was yesterday on a post I put. One second, sorry. Okay. Everything that is targeting is done automatically like cell phone coverage. This is what phased arrays do. Telecom coverage is seamless from tower to tower because the system constantly tracks you and knows where you are. The system not only knows how to reach you, it knows exactly how to hand you over from tower to tower as you talk and drive without losing the call. This, of course, means that they can beam people wherever they go, and this is the main reason why they made it impossible for cities to opt out of 5G. The system wanted these towers in place for the purpose of a weaponized grid. Okay, in this system that helped earn the United Nations the title amongst Arab groups and other nations, the Great S.A.T.A.N propaganda and disinformation tactics used within the mass information streams has helped squash this connection from being realized and understood by common folks. Allah's apostle said, your fire is one of the 70 parts of hell. Someone asked, oh, Allah's apostle, this fire would have been sufficient. Allah's apostle said, the hellfire has 69 parts more than the ordinary worldly fire. Each part is as hot as worldly fire. Today, hellfire comes in many forms from microwave energy used for burning type tortures, lasers, rug burn, friction, ultrasound, oxidation, rashes from viruses, bacteria, frostbite, chemical burns, radio frequency hypercation, radiation. But use of microwave active denial system of torture, active denial of service torture can leave no blister marks if done correctly and keep the subject in eternal pain without death. The S.A.T.A.N, silent assassination through adaptive networks, and voodoo doll programs have tortures that have no analogy to physical sensory pain by directly inducing strange, new, unpleasant sensation into the target. New kinds of misery and suffering are being developed, often called maximum pain weapons. This is used in silent warfare interrogations and eugenics programs. Refer to those chapters to Directed Evolution, Eugenics, Menticide, and Volume 1. It's difficult to call the current use silent warfare since there's no way for targets to surrender or even know how they're a part of a war. Mass murder, silent holocaust, genocide are a better way to describe it. Several treaties forbid the use of automated weapon systems for this reason. Predator drones, unmanned airplanes have human controllers and are not fully autonomous. This weapon is or can be used without human operators, making it illegal by Geneva Conventions. Torture is illegal too, but countries only abide by treaties when they are in their favor. Automation and scalability of these torture programs have been the goal for the last few decades. Pain recorded from other humans' misfortunes are recorded and cataloged, then can be played back onto the target's brain repeatedly. The torture programs will lock onto any technique that causes the most suffering and stress and continue playing those entrainments from physical pain to psychological demeaning and threatening silent sound audio. Automation is another breach of international law and Geneva Conventions. The Predator drone is allowed because it is not fully autonomous and has a controller with a joystick. It's just unmanned. The reason in Geneva Conventions for not allowing autonomous robotic systems in war is that there's no way for the robot to recognize when someone surrenders. Similarly, in the U.S. psychic warfare and silent eugenics program, there's no way to surrender as is practiced. Blinding weapons are also banned, but it does not stop the development of them. The researchers of this book did extensive interviews with over 650 people undergoing this kind of experimentation, brainwashing, assassination. The collection of torture techniques is impressive. One of the pain signals in the database was recorded from a woman who had severe PMS. Both the emotional discomfort and physical cramping was recorded. Ironically, this turns out to be one of the better tortures on men. It could be used positively to help men be more sympathetic for women who endured this every month. All the human pain, fear, and agony have been recorded to be played on targets. But obviously, this spreading good human qualities like empathy is not why this system was built. What was interesting to note during the research of this book is to watch how pain, which was accidentally inflicted on themselves, would spread as no-touch torture pains on the other people in the body, on the people in the study. The people didn't know each other or personal lives while we were observing the flows of new pains to others in the research group. Remember from the previous chapter and section usurping the eye tracking interface controls that the interface character set is based on NASA created for Voyager 1. The purpose is simply because of the operator's mind meld that the target can see, remote view in his mind's eyes the interface and identify what country is attacking. The interface is a mix of many different language symbols and hieroglyphics. Side notes. Snippet of an interview with the S.A.T.A.N weapon project. They didn't seem to hide what they were doing. For a few months, they would tell me what kind of pain I was going to feel. I would then feel it, and then they would measure the pain level. They said some tortures hurt more when the person knows what is coming. They usually played 3 new ones every day. Then the experiments switched. They would pay new pains and ask me what I would call it for their database. Later, they bragged that they could transform me into an alcoholic, drug addict, smoker, psychopath, or even church lady, depending on how they felt about the success of their project. Here's a mock-up screen showing alien characters. The point of using alien character sets is so that these mind warfare cloning techniques don't allow the target to recognize the country of origin. It's important for misdirection and false flag interrogation using enhanced interrogation, creation of programmed assassins, and for silent murders. And that's it. I don't know what that means, whatever, but okay, let's see. Side note. Okay, I'm gonna read this and then we're gonna take a break until next week. So, and I hope you understand. I'm starting to get real nauseated right now. V2K is setting in, talking about Patrick Swayze, your side's hurting, ain't it? Your side's hurting, ain't it? Yes, my side has started hurting. But don't worry, it's lies. Sure, they're creating the pain. I do not have cancer. It's lies. Simulated rape, sexual humiliation techniques. A sweet young woman of Asian descent described her ordeal in this way. Interviewee: I'll be lying in bed after a day of psychological abuse coupled with pains. The pulsing tinnitus, like a phaser sound, will become silent. Then I can hear a man's voice speaking to me. I then can feel him on top of me like a ghost. He then violates me over and over while I tell him there's no way to escape. I could actually feel him. See, I don't want to read that. I will put this up so you can read it for a minute. You can pause the screen and read it, but I'm not going to read that. It's not that we're not all adults here. I just don't like reading something like that. But I can go on down to the last. Most unfortunately, the psychological industry created a term for people like this woman, false memory syndrome. This is merely a play on words and farce to understanding. The memories are real, created in real time. They are experiences of false physical events which the brain cannot differentiate from the physical reality since the sensory system has been overridden. These, of course, are real mind crimes intentional. Some subjects of DOD experimentation actually believe the events were real and not just ghosts, as this woman did. In the past, the CIA used alien masks during physical renditions, so to misdirect the hatred as well as the satanic cult rituals, obviously named appropriately. People have always wondered why aliens across traveled across the galaxy to Earth just to anal probe their abduction subjects. This is a standard way to induce trauma for behavior modification experiments. On a happier note, review the applications chapter and section on virtual sex in the first volume of this series. First volume is not printed. He said he got pressure and he can't print. He cannot print it because, well, he is dead. I'm waiting. Somebody said they had the coroner report. I'm waiting for it to be shared with me. So there is confirmation that he's dead, supposedly. I'm waiting on the coroner's report. If you see right here, this is just a mock-up screen. It's important to remember that the actual energy system is not targeting parts of the body, but playing the pain sequences into the cerebrum to be experienced exactly the same as real events. And I'm going to read that one more time before I go. It is important to remember that the actual energy of the system is not targeting parts of the body, but rather playing the pain sequences into the cerebrum to be experienced exactly the same as the real events. You cannot reason with a machine, nor submit, nor surrender. It will continue to torture the person to suicide or death by other means. So anyway, I thank y'all for listening today. Next week, we're going to start right here with Human Beings Are the Disease, We Are the Cure. Agent Smith from the movie Matrix. They're going to summarize it. And like I said, I'm getting a very bad headache. I'm nauseated. I'm getting vertigo. So it's time for me to end this video. So I hope y'all understand that. I'm sure y'all do if you're real targets. It's just time to just get away from the screen, and I'll probably try to go work out, or maybe even take an Epsom salt bath real quick. Anyway, God bless all TIs. Thanks for the support. Y'all have been much helpful over the years with y'all's support. Everybody thinks I'm some kind of YouTube star when in reality I get maybe $30 a month if I'm lucky. Sometimes 40 or 50, but and the reason I do that, and please let me know if it's okay if I do this. I do not put ads in the middle of my videos, which makes me lose a lot of money. But, well, not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but $30 is a lot of money to me. But anyway, so I've not been putting ads in the middle of my videos. So, some videos you watch and you got ads in the middle of them, and um, you get ads in the middle of them, and they get annoying, you know. And so I just, I'm like, well, I really want this message to get out here. So if I put ads in the middle of the video, people might not watch the video because they're going to be like, well, I get tired of watching ads. So anyway, I'm thinking about doing it, uh, but I probably won't. But anyway, just let me know your opinion on here about that, and God bless.